might say, my friends made me do it. No, your friends didn't make you do it. Your friends provided the opportunity. Maybe your friends brought you the mattress and the sheets, but you made the bed. It isn't that the devil makes us do anything. It isn't that our friends make us do anything. It isn't that the circumstances make us do anything. The circumstances and the friends and the devil, they just provide the opportunity, the outlet for us to do the kinds of things that are already inside of us. Like we talked about in the past, if you get angry and you punch a wall, you might say, oh my God, that's not me. Yeah, it is you. I mean, the hole didn't make itself. It was you who punched the wall, and that's who you are under those circumstances. One of the ways that you deal with being a person who does terrible things is don't allow yourself to be in that position in the first place, because you know it's inside of you. And you know that if the right person comes along and tempts you, then you're going to do it. So we got this idea of the devil, and of course we've already pointed out what it is that the devil does. What characterizes him is a liar. That's like the overall general thing of what he does. He lies. What's the motivation for lying? Pride. Okay. And so I still have that standing offer. If anyone can do it, let me know something good that comes from pride. I've been trying for a long time. I've been trying for 20 years. I can't think of anything good that comes from pride. So all of the lying is geared towards pride. What is it what about all this is satisfying pride? We'll see in just a minute. All right, so we're going back to that story from last week. Remember the Adam and Eve thing. How is it that the devil lies? It's fascinating. It's really fascinating. Because again, we don't necessarily have to believe in a literal Garden of Eden. You can, it's fine. You don't have to believe in the literal Adam and Eve and the literal devil and all that stuff, but you can. It's fine. But the stories still are important because they fill out a psychological sketch of humanity, and they also give us some really important warnings. So first off, if you'll notice, I kind of said it in passing last week. I said that the serpent walks up to Adam and Eve. The serpent walks up to Eve. Anything stand out to you about that?
Serpent walking.
Yeah, serpent walking. Serpents don't walk. Serpents slither. Well, we were told in the story that back then, the serpent had legs. So it's worth considering, why did the serpent have legs? Because the serpent looked like almost any other creature that was there. What creatures don't have legs and just kind of slither around? We got snakes. What else? Worms. Like centipedes, right?
Maggots.
What's that? Maggots. Yeah. So we started thinking about the types of things that crawl around and don't walk. There's a reason that this thing loses its legs. So the first thing he walks up to Eve and says, so God said you could eat of any of these trees, huh? That's a lie. Did God say that? No. God said you could eat of any of these trees except for that one. So we have the first form of lying, and it's something that a lot of us try to deny is a lie. It's a lie of omission. Did God say you could eat of any of the trees? No. You're omitting the part where he said any of the trees except for that one right there. So if you're wondering, what if I tell most of the truth, but not all of it? If the reason that you're leaving stuff out is to manipulate or save yourself, then that's why you're doing it. So for example, if, let's say one of the APs comes in here and says, Scanlon, one of your students went to the mall yesterday and shoplifted. We don't know which one it is, but it's somebody in here. That's all we know. And I turn to you, and one by one I ask you, so what did you do yesterday? And you say, I came to school. After school, I went to the mobile station across the street to get something to drink. After that, I went home. But you omit the fact that you went to the mall. Even if you aren't the shoplifter, but you still leave that part out, you're leaving it out because you know that that's what we're looking for. That's a lie of omission. So lying isn't just what you say. Lying is also what you leave out, because the purpose of lying is to manipulate. If you remember, we talked before about how there's reality. And reality exists in reality. The purpose of lying is to try to create an alternate reality, a fictional version of reality, where now, and let's say for example you're, again, we'll go back to the example where you told me you omitted the fact that you went to the mall. What you've done is you've created an alternate version of reality and you've placed me in it, and it's an alternate version of reality in which you didn't go to the mall. And so now I'm believing that you didn't go to the mall, which means I'm believing something that didn't happen in real reality. Instead, you've created a separate reality. Remember, this is how you can tell when things are demonic or divine, whether things are good or bad, another way of saying it. Because the things that are good create. The things that are bad tend to destroy. You find that angry people don't usually create. Angry people usually try to tear down and destroy. If the purpose of life, if the function of life is to create, well then the opposite of that is to tear down. If it's true that God is supposed to be like the author of all truth, then of course it makes sense that the other side is the author of all lies. So lies are designed to destroy, to tear down, to create an alternate version of reality that directly attacks the real version of reality. Yeah.
If we tell the truth and do what's commanded of us.
Yeah. Because there's a reality in which the truth that we have to tell, it's difficult. People are going to be angry at us, or it's going to be inconvenient for us, or it might get us into trouble. So we try to create a reality that doesn't have those dangers. So we create a reality to save us from consequences, save us from dangers. A reality in which consequences don't exist. Dangers don't exist. And that's what makes it hard, because, of course, if you tell that lie and you create that fiction, you're going to have to create another one. You have to create another one. And that's what makes it so hard also, because I think I've told you before that one of the ways that you can tell when a small child is intelligent is how early they start to tell lies. Highly intelligent children tell lies from a very early age. So that doesn't mean you should teach them to lie. It doesn't mean that you should praise them for it. You still should discipline them for it. But that indicates that the child, as small as they are, is aware that they have knowledge that you don't have, and that you have knowledge that they don't have. It's a really sophisticated idea. In order for us to realize that I know something you don't know, I have to be able to conceptualize that we're two separate entities with different experiential backgrounds. That's a really complex thing to understand. And so if you have like a little kid who's like 2 years old or 1 year old, and they start to realize that means that they're probably highly intelligent. So you might want to praise them and go, "Oh, great, you're a smart little liar. My kid's a genius." They're still a liar, though. You can't let them get away with it, because then they'll start to do this just as a matter of course. You've heard of like pathological liars. People who just lie for almost no reason. What day is today? Thursday. Well, why'd you lie about that? I don't know. Lying is as natural as the truth is for a lot of people. Was it a hand still?
I was going to comment inside line.
That's lie. So that's the first version we have. Lie of omission. And it's designed to do the exact same thing, to create an alternate version of reality. So then the serpent asks her, "Oh, come on. Did God really say this?" Oh. So now, it's not just omission. We have another form of lying. Confusion. Did he really say that? Does that really happen? So you can start to confuse people. Changing the subject on somebody. I use the phrase sometimes, you can dazzle them with bullshit. You use big words that people are simply not going to understand. And then that way, but you also realize that they're not the kind of person who's going to ask you, "Wait, what? Explain that to me." They're just like, "Oh, okay." And they walk away. You intentionally confuse people. You show that you intentionally make them question whether this is really real when you know that it is. Now again, the important thing here is that these are designed for manipulation. It isn't just that you're wrong, or like maybe you didn't think to mention that you went to the mall just because you really didn't think to mention it. Not because you remembered it and didn't tell me, but because you didn't think to mention it. It didn't come up in the conversation, we might say. Confusion here is when you're intentionally trying to make people doubt themselves and doubt what reality is. And then finally, he gets to this. He says, "Okay, listen, it's not that listen, here's the real reason God doesn't want you to do it. Because he knows that the day that you eat of the fruit, you're going to become a God like him, knowing knowing good and evil." So now he appeals to pride. So we have omission, we have confusion, and we might call this like a half-truth. It's kind of true. Is it true that Adam and Eve would now know good from evil? Yeah. But he left out the really important thing. Oh, by the way, when you do that, you're going to die. You will cease to exist. He leaves out the important stuff. And so we know now that these are all kind of behaviors, forms of lying, that will tear us down. But here's the really fascinating thing. This is partial truth. That's like the one thing that the devil said that was actually true. And sometimes you're going to find that the thing that wrecks us is not the omission, it's not the confusion, it's the truth. That's what's going to tear us apart. But he knew that by telling the truth, he could appeal to pride. Sometimes you can tell a person the truth, but you're doing it because you want them to do something about it. You're trying to manipulate that person into behaving a certain way. And so it's all part of the same family. It's all trying to get people to do what you want them to do, to manipulate them. This is one of the reasons that, like we mentioned, elementary reverse psychology, I don't ever do it. People think I do, but I never do it. Because if you use reverse psychology, it's a way of manipulating a person. It's a way of lying to a person, showing a disrespect for that person. You're trying to use them the same way that you would use a hammer or a screwdriver as a tool to achieve some end that you want to achieve. And that's not good. You know, it's like, it might be true what you're telling them, but you know that you're only telling them because you want to use them as a tool, if this makes sense. Now, all of this is much easier to do if the devil doesn't walk in here. Imagine if, whatever the devil's supposed to look like, you know, he walks in with these big old wings, and I think he's supposed to be buff or something. He's carrying a pitchfork, all the stereotypes of what the devil is supposed to look like. And he's like, hey guys, nice to meet you. I'm the devil. What's up, devil? Hey, the sky's orange. We're going to be like, oh, whatever, dude, you're the devil. We know you're a liar. And he'll be like, oh, come on, the sky's orange, just look. No, sorry, devil, they don't believe you. All right, bye, guys. He walks out. But then if I have somebody else come in here with, I don't know, like a lab coat maybe and some big, thick glasses, kind of nerdy, and he says, actually, if you do examine the sky, you're going to notice it is orange. Oh, really? It's orange? Because he's not showing up telling us he's the devil. The devil it might just be the devil went outside, did a quick costume change, came in, and appeared in some other way, some other form. Sometimes the devils that we perceive, even if we're not talking about a literal devil, they're going to take on really pleasant forms. They're going to come in, they're going to leave things out to tell us the things that we want to hear. They're going to confuse us and make us think, wow, I don't understand what you're saying. You must be really smart. So I'm just going to follow whatever it is that you're saying. They might only give us, they might give us enough of the truth to motivate us. But again, it's all about manipulation. So it's a trick, and he says it's lovely, like, man, it's elegant. It works. It's effective. But here's the thing. You can't get someone to do something that's not already in them. You can't get someone to do something that isn't already in them. In other words, when they say, oh, the devil made me do it, or my friends made me do it. Your friends didn't make you do anything that wasn't already in you. In other words, what was already in you was a willingness to do something if you were with your friends. Maybe it isn't something that you would normally do. Like maybe you're not going to, what did I saw? I saw there's a video, some of you may have seen, it's on YouTube. It's pretty old now, but God, I still laugh every time I see it. It's, I think it's like 3 guys and they're in a car and they're driving around and they're just telling you, like they're making dares to each other. Do it for the dare, man. And they're doing like horrendous stuff. Where it's like, oh man, there's like a kid on a playground. Go kidnap the kid. I'm not kidnapping a kid. Do it for the dare. All right, man. So he goes out there and he kidnaps the kid. I'm imagining, I assume it's staged. They're in a liquor store and they're like, rob the store. I'm not robbing the store, man. He gives them a gun. Do it for the dare, man. He's all right. Pulls down a ski mask. He goes and he robs the store. Now, you might say, my friends made me do it. No, your friends didn't make you do it. Your friends provided the opportunity. Maybe your friends brought you the mattress and the sheets, but you made the bed. Or maybe vice versa. And so, it isn't that the devil makes us do anything. It isn't that our friends make us do anything. It isn't that the circumstances make us do anything. The circumstances and the friends and the devil, they just provide the opportunity, the outlet for us to do the kinds of things that are already inside of us. Like we talked about in the past, if you get angry and you punch a wall, you might say, oh my God, that's not me. Yeah, it is you. I mean, the hole didn't make itself. It was you who punched the wall, and that's who you are under those circumstances. So the best thing to do maybe is to be aware of that. And one of 2 things, either make sure that you don't end up in those circumstances again. This is one of the ways in which we deal with addiction. If you're a person who's like addicted to cocaine, one of the ways that you can not do it is to not be around it. Because if you are around it, you're going to do it. Most of the people, I know several people who've been addicted to it, and this is why they tell me they don't do it. It's not that they don't have a desire to do it. They just say, it's not in front of me. Like if it's in front of you, you'll do it? Oh yeah. So they just refuse to put themselves in positions where they're going to be in front of cocaine. That's it. You know, because it changes your neurochemistry. It's a very hard thing to get over. So maybe one of the ways that you deal with being a person who punches holes in walls, or maybe the way you deal with a person, maybe one of the ways that you deal with being a person who, you know, does terrible things, is don't allow yourself to be in that position in the first place, because you know it's inside of you. And you know that if the right person comes along and tempts you, then you're going to do it. If you know that you're somebody who's prone to cheating, then don't give out your number to people, because you know it's just a friend request. Is it though? Is it really just a friend request? You know, and we might lie to ourselves. Yeah, because you know, it's just it's a friend of mine from math. I mean, someone who sits next to you. Yeah, who's connecting with you. Yeah, okay. None of these other things are going to apply. Of course, they're all going to apply, because first Eve sees the fruit. Then Eve is interested in the fruit. And then Eve tries the fruit. She never would have tried it if she hadn't been interested, and she never would have been interested if she hadn't seen it. So we ingratiate ourselves slowly to start to do these things. And the only way that happens is if someone can not even necessarily trick you into it, but just almost tell you the truth, because sometimes the truth is, people don't believe the truth. A lot of people think I make stuff up because I tell the truth. No, I don't have to lie to you. All I got to do is tell you the truth. People don't believe the truth already. People assume a lot of stuff has to be made up. No, just tell the truth to people. They won't believe you. And then later on they'll find out that the truth was true. But, yeah, there's no reason to. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Yeah.